Hello, everyone. This is BigBossCalvin83. Hold on. I'm back. This is going to be my final video response to Bill Greathouse. Obviously, this good old boy don't get it. I looked at some of his old videos that he made towards me since, I thought we were cool. We openly discussed topics on race. That's what I liked about him. But seems like, I don't know what happened, but it seems like he's been in the wrong company, gone around with his other Caucasian counterparts, racist as fuck, and he says I'm causing division, which is bullshit. I'm just speaking truth. It just offends people. But disagreeing with somebody, let me tell you this, Bill. Disagreeing with somebody is not creating division. That is stupid as hell to even think that. Now, let me start off because I got my page of notes. I feel like I'm back at school, but I had to debunk a lot of bullshit that you said. First of all, we're going to talk about your video that you made 4 years ago. Feminism and racist is one and the same. Well, actually, Bill, it is one and the same. But feminism and racism, not black racist, because there's no such thing, but feminism and racist, when it comes to racist Caucasians, feminism and racist is one and the same because it's another form of Caucasian supremacy. You keep saying, well, why is there a black colleges and a black channel on TV? Well, there's a lot of so-called white channels. You got your Viacom, you got your ESPN, and you got your NBC. And you got Bravo. Forever the fuck. The only reason why, first of all, so you can understand this, do you know why there's a BET to begin with? And it's not black owned anymore. First of all, BET and these other small market black program networks were created and established not because they wanted to segregate against so-called white people, as you call it. No. The reason why they exist is because your so-called black actors, male and female actors and actresses, could not find work in a predominantly white media. So since there were no opportunities, black people had to create their own opportunities and have a black-owned network. And yes, we did employ other groups, ethnic groups, but there's an Asian network. Do you think they're going to hire black people in that network? No. They might let a few Caucasian tokens because they respect Caucasian people. Same with the Latinos. You got Mexicans, and other Latinos who got their own Latino Telemundo. I think that's what you call it. Do you think they're gonna hire so-called black people on their network? A high percentage? No. But they might let a few token Caucasians slide, and that's done for ratings because Caucasian people got favoritism in their hands. Because if you kiss up to Caucasian people, there's this notion that you will get ratings and get ahead if you pander to them. But when it comes to so-called blacks, even though blacks are exploited when it comes to money, they don't respect my dollar, but they respect your dollar because you're a Caucasian man. That's the difference. You say anybody can be racist. No. Like I said before, racism was invented by Europeans. It's a European thing. basically is invented by white people. Okay? Because regardless of how you feel, people of color, what you call black people, were the original people. But we interacted and got along with other groups. When Caucasian people came into the picture, people of European descent, but identify as so-called white, y'all conquered and destroyed and caused destruction of every goddamn nation you touched. Okay? Racism, the reason why they invented racism, Caucasian people invented racism because they knew that they were the minority, the world's minority of the population. Not the majority, but there's a huge minority of Caucasian people globally. There's like 3% of Caucasian people globally. So since you motherfuckers fear genetic annihilation, because that's why you get panicked. So that's why some of y'all get panicked, get nervous when you see a Caucasian woman having sex and procreating with a black man or any man of color, any ethnic male of color who's non-Caucasian. Y'all panic because your genes are recessive. The so-called black gene is dominant. So if we were to breed with y'all, you'd be wiped out genetically. Now I don't believe in that genetics bullshit, but that's the fear. You may think different, but I know most Caucasian people are paranoid, especially Caucasian males, because to maintain so-called white supremacy, you need the Caucasian female to have white babies. You can't do it with anybody else. You can try to do it with the Asian woman. You know you can't. You can do it. You know if you do it with the black woman, you know you're gonna get genetically wiped out, and the baby's gonna come out looking brown. Okay. And any other race of woman, any other ethnic group of woman, any other ethnic woman, you can try to inbreed with who's non-Caucasian. Your child's not gonna look Caucasian. It's gonna look like they're gonna be brown, basically. Okay? That's why racism exists, because of fear. Racism is another form of fear. That's why it exists. But when I was taught growing up, I was never told to hate people because of the color of their skin, but you like to make assumptions of that. You continue to defend racism and Caucasian supremacy, but you ignorantly don't realize it, or you just don't give a fuck. And as far as Angels Nut and I, we never had a relationship. Just like I never had a close relationship with For All Souls. I never spoke with Angels Nut 7. His real name is Tariq Even Ra. Never had phone conversations. Never talked to him on Skype. He's fixed Facebook friends of mine, but we never had that close relationship and connection like I had with you, Bill, and Dwayne. Same goes for For All Souls. Never had a relationship. I mean, the only people I talked with on the phone outside of the internet, mainly, yeah, I talk to a bunch of people now, but at the time when I was learning about the internet, I talked to you, Dwayne, and Warren Bullock. Okay? I want to say this again. Black people cannot be racist because, number one, you got racism equals power and control and dominance. Yes. In America, black people cannot be racist in America. I'm not talking about the whole goddamn world. I don't give a fuck what happens. You talk about what the Africans, what the so-called Africans did to other Europeans. That's a small number compared to what Caucasians did to black people in Africa, because y'all colonized and raped the fuck out of Africa. Your group did. I'm identifying who you are. I'm not blaming you per se directly and saying you had something to do with it directly, but I'm just saying what the group did as a whole. So, when black people were enslaved and sent to North America and South America, Europeans did that, enslaved and raped us and tortured us and beat us, maimed us, and killed some of us. That's what happened. So black people do not have a history in America. And a large majority, I'm going to say, you know, I want to say worded like this. So-called black people do not have a history of enslaving Caucasians. Okay? The majority of Caucasian people, by comparison, have enslaved and colonized all people of color, not just black people, but all ethnic people of color. Okay? That's a fact. That's not a hate speech or saying that your race is bad, but we're just calling it for what it is. Because black people in America never had no power and advantage in America. Never had. Even now, the problem is different. This is called systematic racism, not overt in-your-face racism. Racism is more passive-aggressive and more closet-based. Like I said before, to be a racist, a group of people have to insert their hatred for another group of people, and their ignorance and bigotry among the other groups, among that group of people, by one, try to eradicate their heritage, eradicate their culture, strip them of their language, their customs, steal the customs, destroy their religion, and their foundation of being. You know what I'm saying? And what group of people have done that? With committing genocide. The Caucasian people have committed genocide on people of color, and other groups of people of color. Then that's a fact. You can hate it. You can hate the truth. I'm just speaking it as it is. Number two, you have to have wealth, power, and resources to oppress and be racist against another group of people. In America, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about what happened in Spain, please, or what happened in Italy, in France. Italy, I don't know what happened in France, but you talk about the fucking Moors. But I'm talking about black people in America, and because how do you think they got to North America? And let me say this: black people were never. You had a portion of black people already in North America before. so we were first. So like I said, we were the original people. I don't want to get off subject, but to say that the way we got to North America was through enslavement. No, we came. There were some black people already here before the Native Americans came. It existed. It's complicated. History is complicated. There's a lot of lies and bullshit that they don't tell you in school, even when you research it. So it's confusing at times. But like I said, you gotta have number two. You gotta have wealth, power, and influence, and be able to control the resources. Let me show you what I mean. You have to own you have to own and control shit. You have to control the job market, control employment, decide who gets hired and does not get hired, and decide who gets fired. Understand? Decide who qualifies to have a loan or not, or how much interest how much the rate is that I gotta pay on that loan because of the color of their skin. Same with insurance. Then you gotta talk about How many Caucasian people who have so-called white-sounding names don't get the job because of their white-sounding name? Black people get denied employment not only because of the color of their skin, but because they got a black-sounding name. That's a fact. That's real talk. And then you got to control the education system to influence and program people. And it's not just black people who are being miseducated. It's also Caucasian people being miseducated. Same with Latinos and same with Asian kids. We're all being miseducated about this life. And racism is systematic and institutional. Racism is very systematic. You have talked about being called a cracker is the worst thing in the world. Well, actually, being called a nigger is being the worst thing in the world, because the word nigger was a derogatory name, and we were in chains, and still in chains, but systematic chains, not physical chains, but it's systematic now. You know what I'm saying? That word was where we got hung, where we got beaten, we got tortured, raped. That has the word cracker. How many Caucasian people have been tortured and raped and beaten and maimed the fuck out and disenfranchised, but under the name cracker? So the slur itself doesn't have no comparison. I hope I'm making sense to you, because you're playing on words here, and I don't like that. So, and you say I'm causing division by calling bullshit out on how people are treating each other and exposing truth about a certain group of people that you don't not like to be accountable for their shit. I hold all people accountable. Nobody's exempt from my criticisms, okay? You know how hard I go on the women. I get on the men. I have even criticized and hold my people accountable to a certain extent, but I understand where their pitfalls are. But when I crucify Caucasian people, it's a problem. When it comes to Asians, you don't say nothing about that, or Latinos, or Middle Easterns. When I criticize who's ever at fault, and I acknowledge who's ever right. That's how I roll. So stop trying to make it seem. So quit trying to make it seem that racism is a two-way fucking street. There's no black supremacy here. There's no black racism. Just because we say kill whitey, that's not that don't mean shit, because who writes the rules? Who writes the rules? Who runs the military? Europeans, Americans. Who owns the police department and runs it? Caucasian people. Most of the cops are Caucasian. Okay? Who's in the politics? Who got ties to the Klan? Caucasians. You are backed by a system. Okay? That's a fact. We don't write laws and telling you where you cannot live, where you cannot go. We never tell laws that who you can date and not date, who you can marry and not marry. Y'all wrote those laws. We never segregated y'all. We never segregated y'all. We never redlined the fuck out of y'all. We never killed y'all because of the color of your skin. We never had a sundown town. I'm repeating myself, but you're not getting through. That's why we're not friends anymore. Because you're not listening. And you refuse to listen. I have tried to listen to you, but you don't give me the same respect. It's not black people are, you talk about reason why black people can be prejudiced, but it's an understandable prejudice because the way we are treated in the society, rather black people are aware or not, we are still treated as three-fifths of a human being. And I don't want no special treatment. I just want some equal quality respect. I want to live like y'all, have the same opportunity, quality of life, decent living, have a livable wage, be able to make money, have a family, and have my own stuff just like y'all motherfuckers have your own stuff. And be treated as a human being and be treated with acknowledged for being a human being and be equal to be a human being. You know what I'm saying? I don't want no special treatment. Y'all motherfuckers feel y'all got entitlement issues. Your group, Caucasian people, other Caucasian people got entitlement issues. They think because they're white, they got white skin, which is pale skin, pale pinkish skin, that they're better than everybody. You don't want to acknowledge that. You might not think like that, but there's other people in your group that thinks like that. Because, oh, I'm white, so I deserve the best. I'm white, I deserve special treatment and special privileges. I came across people like that in my life. You can't take that away from me because you never lived my experience. Okay? Throughout your time, you have defended racism and Caucasian supremacy. You have said black ass. You have said derogatory things about black people in your videos. Okay? Maybe you need to rewatch some of them. You have been dismissive of our pain and suffering, telling us to get over slavery, Jim Crow. It was before our time, but you don't say that to the Jews. You would be offended if you would never tell a rape victim to get over it, or rape was before their time. You got feminists talking about how thousands of years ago how women were oppressed and how it relates to now. But you don't tell them to get over it. You don't tell the Jewish people to get over the Holocaust. It was a long time ago. It happened way before their time. They were never affected by it. That's racism in itself. You would be offended if other people outside of America told y'all people, what about white on white crime? What about get over the American Revolution? It was before your time. It had no effect on you. You don't know what it has effect, what has an effect on a person and what doesn't. Get over Pearl Harbor, the Alamo, get over 9/11. Okay, y'all be offended and have be all hell will break loose if someone is if an Arab person, a Middle Eastern person of Middle Eastern descent that came from Iraq, that came from Afghanistan, or whatever Middle Eastern country told y'all to get over 9/11. You'll be offended if the Japanese people from Japan, Japanese people told you to get over Pearl Harbor. So you can miss me with that bullshit. You're right, stats are propaganda, but I know for a fact that Caucasian people commit crimes and get lighter sentences compared to black people. And I'm not saying anybody that when you commit a crime you should be punished, but at the same time you should not get special treatment and special leeway. Caucasian people commit the most crimes, but they get lighter sentences, punishment, or a slap on the wrist, or they get off scot-free. I've seen it with my own eyes. I had legal trouble in my past, and it was not my fault. I told you about what happened to me with that crooked cop that we had on Skype. What happened to me? So I've been to courtrooms. I've seen how I looked at stats, but I have family that worked in the legal department, so that's why I know what I know. I have family members who work in banks, telling y'all how there's certain people, because of their color of skin, get denied loans, even though they got perfect record, good credit, good work history, but they get denied loans because they're fucking black. But meanwhile, a Caucasian person can have a record, have bad credit, poor everything else, but get a loan because of the color of their skin, because they know somebody. That's white privilege. You know, I mean, I hope I'm making sense to you. Now we're gonna talk. You're making deflections and you're practicing your white denial. Your true racism is showing, and your bigotry, and you're protecting white supremacy. But you want me to suffer in silence and be quiet about this fucking injustice. Or why are you angry? Well, walk in my shoes and you find out why I'm angry. Okay? I mean, you must have forget. You know, you must have forgot where you come from, dude. Bill, you forgot where you came from. I remember in your old videos how you were living TFL, True Force Loneliness, and how angry you got and frustrated you got. And you were talking about the women. Yes. You talked about how women create their own killers. And you felt good when something happened, bad happened to a woman where she got raped or got killed or got beaten to death. You had a smile on your face. And I'll admit I felt the same way. That's one thing we got in common. I can relate to you on. But this race thing, we can't. I didn't. First of all, when you made that video about White Lives Matter, I was not offended by the title. I had a problem with what you said. I just disagreed with your video and how you worded it and the subject matter and the stuff that you covered when you made that video, White Lives Matter. That's why I made a video response to you on that. Me speaking truth and me holding a certain group of people accountable who are wrong, in the wrong, and whether they done me wrong or just did some crazy, questionable shit, did some bad shit, and wrong as hell, and doing some foul, immoral shit, and I'm holding them accountable. I'm holding a certain group of people accountable, regardless of what their skin color is, and regardless of what your gender is, regardless of what the religion is, regardless of what the class is. I will hold you accountable, just like I expect to be held accountable for the shit I do. I'm very hard on myself, and I expect if I do something wrong, I expect to be held accountable for it. That's how I am. You don't understand racism because you've never been a victim of it, because it's systematically, I'm talking about. You've been a victim of prejudice because, and people being, you've been, when it comes to come across blacks and you had a bad experience with that group of Mexicans, that they were reacting to the racism and injustice that they had experiences with other Caucasian people. You know what I'm saying? So when we go through bad experiences, when certain people do us wrong, and it seems like a certain group of people do us wrong, sometimes we make the mistake of taking it out on someone. Well, because I'll give you an example. If a woman was raped by a man, sometimes she will become a man hater. If a man has been done wrong by women, he has a tendency to take it out on other women. That's just human nature. I'm not saying it's right, and I'm not saying it's excusable, but it's understandable. No, we make generalizations based on our experiences. If it's more than 50%, then you're going to make a generalization. That's a fact. Point blank, period. No, nobody's blaming. Black people are not blaming Caucasian people for the fucking problems and failures. We blame ourselves more so than anybody else. We'll blame each other. We'll blame ourselves. We'll blame each other. Y'all the last to get blamed. But the minute we notice some bullshit with this fucking rigged system, especially in America, free Ks, don't get it twisted. The minute we hold white supremacy accountable, racist, systematic racism accountable, racist Caucasian people accountable for supporting the system and protecting the system and defending their white privilege, now we can't blame y'all, but y'all blame us for shit. There's many Caucasians who blame black people, but they don't live near black people, never been around black people, hardly see black people come across so-called black people, and they blame black people for the reason why they didn't get the job, the reason why they weren't able to go to that university, or any opportunity to get that loan, get public assistance, welfare, whatever the hell. Or the reason why the country's falling apart is that y'all blame, America blames Mexicans for the reason why the country's falling apart, because y'all talk about illegal immigration, but whose land was it? You stole the Mexicans will tell you that that America was their land. They are descent of Native Americans, and that their land was stolen. Latinos have a valid complaint that Europeans stole their land, and I agree with them. But no, they get stereotyped because they're illegal aliens. They just jump over the border and they get free shit and they get special treatment. And that's not the case. That's not always the case. You got Asians who come here illegally. You got East Indians that come here illegally. You got Middle Eastern people that come here illegally. You got other Caucasian people, and then the thing is, foreign Caucasian people who come here illegally and they benefit off the system. Just and like I said before, you have more Caucasian people on public assistance, on welfare, on food stamps, and other social programs geared towards them. Y'all get handouts, and that's a fact. I'm trying to stay on the subject here, but I gotta cover all this shit because you made a 50-minute long video and it doesn't make no fucking sense. You saying, well, you can't generalize all Caucasian people being bad people. I never said all Caucasian people were bad. That was your assumption. You saying, well, this so-called black gentleman, said there's no such thing as white privilege. Well, he's a fucking coon. He's a handkerchief head. He's a house nigger. He's a fucking token that doesn't want to believe that racism exists until he gets his wake-up call. I'm pretty sure he thinks a lot of black people think because they get money and become successful and live in the white suburbs that there's no racism. Racism don't have to stop you like that. Racism can't stop you from getting money. But you could get treated bad and get fucked over some way or somehow. You're gonna suffer. I bet you tomorrow, if he gets pulled over by the police and gets shot and killed by the fucking cops, and they get off, then his family will be talking about racism exists. Or if he lives to talk about his racial experiences with dealing with Caucasians or dealing with prejudice from other groups who don't like him because he's black, then he'll have a different opinion. But he's a paid handkerchief head, house Negro peeing coon, just like President Obama, who has done nothing for black people. So black people it's not an issue of black people being able to get money. Once you get it, they're just first of all, there's a select few black people who are in positions of power. But if they don't buck dance, they don't coon, they don't suck up to Caucasian people, you're not going to get ahead. That's the perception. But me, I choose not to coon. I choose not to be a handkerchief head, sample, or fucking Negro peeing. And be a boot-looking ass, step and fetch house nigger for y'all. And kiss your ass. I know I can be successful. And I did make accomplishments in my life. But I did it the right way. But as far as, you gotta understand, there's other blacks who don't understand racism, are not conscious to the situation. You got blacks getting harsher jail sentences, prison sentences, or get arrested for crimes they didn't commit because a bitch lied on them, or a racist Caucasian person lied on them. And not only that, if you don't have money to buy your way out of a bad situation, you get screwed. We get profiled by the cops, profiled by everybody else, get fucked over by the crooked judge and the crooked ass prosecutor. My situation, they want to give me 20 years for protecting myself, and that crooked cop lied on me and said accused me of something I didn't do because he wanted to make quota. He wanted to get his promotion, so he tried to fuck me up. But it wasn't for the grace of God, and I didn't, and for the fact that my dad knew a lawyer to get me out of the situation, I wouldn't be here talking to you. Now, when I made that video, Dare Caucasian People, having so-called black friends don't make you less racist, I was correct on that. And the majority of Caucasian people, from my experience, from what I encountered, and based on how I dealt with, were racist. You can't, that's my experience. And, you know, I have not met every person in the world, just like I have not met every woman, but I know every woman is on bullshit. Just like I know there's a lot of black people on bullshit, which I call them fucking handkerchief head coons, Negro pins, who want to fit in with the dominant society. So-called dominant society, which is run by Europeans in America, 3Ks. But I know there's a lot of Caucasian people who are racist and on bullshit. Just because you're not one of them, Bill, just because you feel you're not racist, that doesn't mean you can speak for the whole group. Just because you claim to not be racist, that doesn't mean everybody thinks like you. Not everybody thinks like you, Bill. Just like not everybody thinks like me. When I said black people need to be independent, practice group economics, and be self-sufficient, have their own businesses, do you know why I said that shit? Because it's the only way black people can prosper in this land of a nation. For any group to prosper, you need to have your own stuff. What's wrong with having your own stuff? What's wrong with having a black-owned bank? Asian people got a black-owned... No. Asian people got a Asian-owned bank. And that's okay. You got Chinatown. You got Mexican towns in California. Southern California at that. You got a lot of you got Chinatown, you got a Mexican town. You know, everybody got their own town. Every other ethnic group of person of color, every other ethnic group of... Excuse me for a second. Every other ethnic group of color got their own town, okay? They got their own stuff. Caucasian people got their own shit. Caucasians, Asians, and Latinos, they got their own towns. You got Chinatown, Korean town, you got Mexican town, and you got the Russian town, Polish town, you name it. But when you got you got your own Indian town. In America, that's how it is. People are tribal. But when black people try to become tribal, it's a goddamn problem. I don't understand that. What's wrong with having your own Tulsa, Oklahoma black town? Are you that scared of black people becoming independent from Caucasian people? Because you can't control us? Is that true, Caucasians, that you're so afraid that if black people are self-efficient and not dependent on you, and if we're actually not dependent on you, we can't blame you for our fucking failures and shortcomings and challenges in this nation. If we were able to have our own stuff, then you will actually cut down on crime, robbery, killings. Yeah. If black people were black first and had their own businesses and had their own banks and had their own restaurant stores and had their own hospitals and not be dependent on the system, which I call the system of Caucasian supremacy, we would be better off. That's not segregating. That's not running power and greed. That's wanting to be independent. Hell, like I said, you got Asians doing that right now. You got Latinos, particularly the Mexicans, doing that right now out in Southern California and Texas. Hell, you got Native Americans, even though they were slaughtered, convicted of genocide and enslavement, they got their own shit. I went to a couple years ago, I went to Western North Carolina. I was in the Indian reservation, and I saw them have their own stuff, self-efficient, independent. What's wrong with that? You want black people. See, the problem with Caucasian people, most of y'all want us to believe in this integration shit. The whole purpose for integration was not to help black people out. That's why y'all killed Martin Luther King. The whole purpose of this integration shit was for black people to feel the illusion of conclusion. Well, be dependent on whitey, be dependent on welfare, be dependent on the system. And where has that gotten us? And the minute we hold you accountable for telling you the system has failed us, and I don't know, and actually, as a matter of fact, the system, the government, the U.S. government has failed America, period. No matter what ethnic group you are, no matter what color we are all suffering right now. So so you can understand my clarifications, Bill, and other Caucasian people who don't fucking understand. We want to be. What's wrong with being independent? If I want to have my own house, what's wrong with me having my own house? If I want to have my own house and own car, what's wrong with having that? You're telling me that you want to share, but when I ask you, can I borrow your car? Can I stay at your house? There's a goddamn problem. Y'all, the problem with many Caucasian people is that y'all fear that what you did to us, we're going to do to you. But the way you oppressed us and continue to oppress us, even though it's not overt, it's subtle. We are mental slaves, and you are the mental slave master in some cases. Racism is not overt, it's subtle. It's systematic. But you will never understand that because you never walked in my shoes. So quit assuming for me. But dude, stop with the immature tactics. I'm not here to make friends. I'm not here to make you comfortable. I'm not here to get you to like me. I'm here to get y'all to understand and wake up to what the fuck's going on out here in society and in the world. So you need to grow the fuck up and need to follow your own fucking advice, Bill, and everybody else who hates my guts. If you don't like what I'm fucking talking about, you don't have to watch my videos. You can go somewhere else. It's not that I have a problem with people's skin color. I have a problem with people's actions on how they treat each other. I thought we were on the same team here, but I guess we weren't. So I'm angry and upset about a lot of things that has happened in my life. But it's not your problem. It's my problem, and I just got to deal with it. But I'll tell you one thing: if I'm telling you what the cause of the problem is, stop denying it. If black people are telling you what the cause of the problem is, stop denying it. If you got men who are angry and they're telling women what the cause of the problem is with this gynocentrism and feminist bullshit that's going on in society, then women need to understand and listen. Just like men have listened to women, the reason why they're upset and angry and pissed off at what the fuck is the problem. And you got feminists who are mad as hell, still mad as hell what the fuck is going on out here with misogyny and and the equal pay and shit. Even though women's equal pay, the pay gap between men and women, there's a different. The reason why there's a pay gap, people, is because women do not work fewer hours than men. Men work more hours than women and take less time off. Men rarely take time off. You know what I'm saying? Men work the most dangerous jobs that pay more money. Women like cushy jobs, and that's why they get paid less. Men do hard, demanding jobs that pay more money. That's why there's a fucking pay gap. It's not because of discrimination. That's how it is. But you got women angry on their issues and frustrations. You got gay people who are upset and angry about their issues. Even Caucasian people angry and upset about what the fuck's going on in the society, because they feel like they're losing the country, even though the majority of Caucasian people control this country. What people need to do is realize who the real enemy is, the powers that be. You can call them, I call them the Caucasian oligarchs, because that's the majority of them. Yeah, you got some Sambos, some coons, some handkerchief heads, and other sellouts, some other ethnic groups of color, doing some, who are kissing up to the system, pandering to the so-called dominant. But at the end of the day, we need to understand who's the real enemy is. Instead of being mad at each other, we need to listen to each other and understand where each other's coming from. That's why I watched your video, Bill, because I need to understand where you're coming from. But you need to understand where I'm coming from. Yeah, and yes, I'm angry and upset about a lot of shit. But like I said, I'm not angry. I'm not blaming the whole Caucasian race because of that. That's stupid. I'm not blaming women because of that. No, it's because I came across a lot of assholes. I came across a lot of stupid bitches, and I came across the wrong people who did me wrong, and I'm just mad at them for that. And I blame myself for certain failures that I did in my life that I regret. So I'm not so you can miss me with that. Oh, I'm blaming people shit. When you know society is fucked up as it is and the system is rigged. Get the fuck out of here. And for the record, like I told you, Bill, yeah, I had no problem seeing you when I was in Orlando, Florida 6 years ago. Yeah, I wanted to see you, but I didn't know I was busy, and I had school on top of that, and plus I had other stress. And yes, you could, yeah, if you said, like you said, you were willing to come out and see me. The problem with that, Bill, is that I didn't know how to manage my time. And plus I didn't know how to get my priorities in order. Since I'm older now I know how to manage my time and make moves in my life, so I can make more time to do the things I enjoy. But anyway, Bill, this is my final video. That's my video response to you. You are who you are, and I am who I am. Okay? We'll go our separate ways. You know, you like to talk about how you like to judge people. My problem with you, guy, is that you criticize people, but you don't like criticism back. My problem with you is that you had Steve Hoka, you had Dwayne Holloway, you had Robert Strickland, and you had me, you had Jared, you had people behind you, but you don't know how to treat them. You are critical. You like the Messiah, and you think you can do no wrong. That's what they told me. Yeah, they talked to me, but so get off your high horse and stop with that self-righteous shit. Okay? You know, obviously you had your best. Even though we were never really friends, and I would have loved to meet you in person. Don't call me a fucking liar. I'm telling you the truth. I never lied to anybody. Trust me, if I was a liar, I would not be spewing out the content, making the content that I'm making. But the truth hurts. And I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to enlighten people and wake people up. But obviously a lot of people don't like to handle the truth. Your truth is your truth, but my truth is my truth, but it's actually realistic. Because I read between the fucking lines. So anyway, man, you have a nice life. We'll just go our separate ways. But I was your real black, your so-called black friend, and I think you turned them away, and you lost a friend because you want some bullshit, and your movement has failed. Like it's like somebody predicted, like Warren predicted that your movement was not going to last and work. So you're just gonna have to go back to the drawing board, but you're gonna have to do it without me. Have a nice life. Peace.